everybody? Welcome to another edition of Midnight Matinee with your boy, the worst damn gamer ever. We got the whole crew in tonight. I got Mick Man from the Scene Snob. I got Chuck again, our Marvel aficionado, and I got Sir Iron Shirty here with us. Bring it, boys. What's good? What's happening? How's everybody's fucking Saturday going?
Well,
Good.
mine's going good so far, and as you guys know, I'm part of the Avengers, and they are in upstate New York. If you watch Age of Ultron, you've seen that. Where am I? Upstate New York. I told you they sent me for these podcast missions. They don't trust me with weapons or hanging out with the Hulk or Tony Stark, so I do stuff like this. You know, we all do our own things.
They give you a helmet. That's it. That's all you get.
What's up, man?
That's me. That's you. And where's Mick? There we go. Okay. Got to make sure, because Sturdy just hit the live button when I said, hey, give me a second to make sure I got my screen all proportioned right.
Listen. I wanted this to start.
My mic wasn't even on for my intro again.
Hey. I just wanted you to be on time. That's all.
I literally said, hey, give me a second. Like, but anyway, gentlemen, what episode is this? Fucking 13, 14? Thinking the MCU timeline? Yeah, buddy. We had a good time going over Guardians of the Galaxy the other day. I got to put that one up. I was supposed to put it up today. I slipped. It's all right. It's coming. This one's live for you guys, so shut up. You got content. Not only am I the worst damn gamer ever, I'm also the worst damn podcaster / streamer / influencer / guy. Period.
Everything.
Yo, who wants to start us off on this? Because this one's got a lot going on.
It does. Ultron.
This one's got a lot going on. It's got a lot of the struggle of internal with Tony, which seems to be a reoccurring situation of going, with the Avengers. It seems like that's his own personality, his own internal struggle is almost the antagonist part of him in this movie. He plays a huge part of that. He's been dealing with so many things emotionally and psychologically, like we saw in Iron Man 3, that he had to overcome some anxiety and shit like that. Now we're at a point where he's still trying to do the right thing. He's still trying to protect the world, and yet intentions to heaven are paved. No, intentions to hell are paved with good intent. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, right?
You get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And this is where he had his vision of what would happen, and with all of the Avengers going down and dying, and the little thing that Wanda did.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of the one who's been through the most, if you think about it. Yeah, fucking Captain America was frozen in ice for like 50 years. Whatever. He went up with a fucking nuke into a space portal and blew these motherfuckers out of the sky. Lived to tell about it, and now has this brain that doesn't stop.
Barely made it back through that hole.
Mm-hmm. A lot of things with Tony, though, which we can all admit, is a lot of shit is self-inflicted just because he's so smart and he's so cocky, and that's kind of like a dangerous mix. He's so smart, he's so cocky, like he has to be seen, and then he also has to like control everything, especially when it comes to technology. Because the conversation with Bruce Banner was basically like, "Yo, let's do this, but not tell the team yet, if at all." And then it always blows up in his face, like, "Yo, why don't you just have a group meeting? That way the team is prepared for any fucking craziness if you all agree on it. Because you're gonna do it anyway, and they know in the back of their mind you're gonna do it anyway if you have that group meeting, the little powwow that he didn't want to have." So it's like, okay, we'll prepare for it because we know Tony's gonna do it anyway.
Vision came up. That was the side project that him and Banner were working on. That one turned out to be in our favor in most cases.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Vision. This Ultron was first time Vision came around.
Vision. He's so complex and so perplexing because Tony just wants to do the right thing, but he wants to also fucking like not have to do anything. So he's like, what's the easiest way I can do this? I'm gonna make something that can automate the shit for us. And then it turns out it's an AI that, of course, everybody fucking fears AI because it can take over. We've all seen fucking Skynet and Terminator and all that shit in other movies where shit just runs rampant and we lose all of our shit. But Tony just wants peace. Tony actually just wants peace, especially after we went through in that bunker, seeing his weapons and shit blow up everything and fuck him up. But it sucks that Ultron comes out of also what ends up being one of the most powerful and most important Avengers there are at this point. And then which leads up to some of the other shit that happens later on down in the timeline with some of the shows and shit like that coming in.
Yeah.
He's just so complex.
Yeah, Tony coming up with, what he thought was the answer in Ultron, and then Ultron deciding that the human race was the problem to save Earth, and he's looking at Earth as more of a literal term of like the planet. It's like, to save the planet, we have to rid the planet of the humans, and that was his whole plan in this movie. And it was because Tony tried to create something, and then ended up with Thor's help creating Vision.
Yeah.
Yep.
I also think like Tony's journey through all of this, like the whole thing begins with him. Now I know Steve was around a long time ago, but and he was frozen at the time. But it was notice once he put it out there that Iron Man exists, his the threat level kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And his world was just opening. Like at the beginning, it was like, my weapons are being sold to kill innocent, civilians. Like, that's crazy. To Thanos sending Loki and the rest of Chitauri and everything else. And now this with Ultron. So he burden. It's almost a burden for him, but like, I completely get why he's haunted and he asks those questions.
What's up, Dadpool? Thanks for dropping in. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I wish I would have remembered hit the live button on my end too, since I was rushed. Lord have mercy. But yeah, fuck was I gonna say? I a thousand things at once over here.
When it came to the Avengers movies, now this isn't my favorite, but when this came out, I remember not feeling the same about it as I did the first one. And I take nothing away from the first one. I love the first Avengers movie. But the more I watch this, the more and more I really like it. And I think it actually has surpassed for me over time.
Really?
Oh,
I agree with that. I think that one of the reasons for that is that, a lot of things ended up playing out in this movie that at the time when the movie came out and we were all going to the theaters and comparing it to the first one, we all said the same thing. I said the same thing too, is that, this didn't match up to the first one. But the things that happen in this movie that end up playing later on down the timeline are very important. And then when you go back and see this, you end up having almost a new appreciation for it, for all the little things that ended up happening in this movie that end up playing out later.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this whole series, right? Is just how much there is to keep track of, but yet how well they do it and how detail oriented it all is and ties into so many little things, even just shit in the background. That's what makes this thing so spectacular to me, and why I keep going back for that rewatch value and trying to see all these little things and keep connecting dots and stuff like that. Every time we have one of these conversations, somebody points something out that I had no fucking clue about, and it's insane to me because it's like 15 years of watching these movies. I've seen them 8-10 times at this point, and I'm still discovering, which is so dope, which is why we have a podcast.
Yeah, and like with Wanda, when she puts that memory in Tony's head, or that dream sequence in Tony's head of seeing all the Avengers dying and Cap being like, it's your fault, and later on down the line when he's up matching up against Thanos, and he's like, me? And he's like, yeah, you're not the only one with visions. And it's like Thanos, had a vision where he succeeds in all of this and sees everything that happens and has Tony in his dreams and everything like that. So it was just even subtleties like that, or just this movie being the start of Wanda's story arc.
Yep.
That's and Thor, having the vision of the stone the first time, and then understanding what the stones were and realizing that Vision was part of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's to your point with that, especially with Wanda, especially this weekend with Multiverse of Madness coming out, and I'm not getting into that or talking about that movie, but to see how she acts in that movie, which is her most recent outing, and to see how she acted in this movie, Age of Ultron, like the similarities are there to say like this existed in her.
Yeah.
And I love that they did that. Like she still made like certain types of, it was more assuring and confident in her now, but like she still made certain movements and things like that just kind of matched up that you haven't seen in Civil War or stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of time in the other movies where she doubted herself, or she had in Civil War had an accident where she got blamed for it when it was the best that she could do at that time, and she definitely didn't have like the full capability of her powers yet, to know what she could and couldn't do, and now that she has her powers, she to what you said, she's very more confident in what she's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was the whole, like you said, it's the beginning of it. So she had to have that pep talk, towards the end of the movie with Hawkeye and whatnot. But it just sucks to see the amount of loss and the amount of kind of torture and shit that they gone through. Her and her brother, the experiments are being taken under their wing, and then to be taken and manipulated by this AI. And they have to hit a crossroads where, again, they have to figure out who's good, who's bad. Again, perspectives in life, which side of the coin you're on, which image you're looking at. Well, we're all looking at this image, but, what we see in the details of the image, right, that make us perceive it a certain way. That plays a huge role between the dynamic of Vision being the good side of the coin and Ultron being the bad side. But then again, you can see some of the points from Ultron's point to trying to do what he's meant to do, what Tony programmed to do, and that kind of plays a role again later with the Thanos character, with his scope of, well, we need to fix this, shit's in turmoil, here's how I'm going to do it, and he wants to just have to bleed people out and let them re-thrive and grow again. It's fucking strange. And then I guess that kind of reoccurs again later with the whole Eternals thing, but that was a little bit weird with some of the shit that happened. But it's crazy to see how much puppeteering is going on within the whole galaxy, the whole cosmos and shit.
Well, that's kind of even changed a little bit even more with Moon Knight.
I fucking love that show, by the way.
It's a good show.
That was a great show, except for like the last 10 minutes.
I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I fell asleep on the last episode. I was watching at 2 a.m.
I'm not going to ruin it now. It just
please don't.
Oscar Isaac, though, man,
that guy can act.
Do a lot. He's a pretty good actor.
My thing with him and his acting in that show, we saw, especially again with Multiverse Madness, I hate to keep bringing it up, but we saw these characters play different versions of their characters, and that's hard enough.
Yeah.
But he actually had to act with himself, playing two completely different roles with different accents. Almost like at that moment, there were things he had to say and know how he was going to react.
Yep.
And it's astonishing when an actor can do that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I will say with this movie, though, to the point earlier, I think it was jarring for a lot of people because the first movie sets up Thanos, and that's what everybody's expecting. And then everything around it starts setting up that Thanos, this big threat's coming. And I think people lost sight of that with this movie when it wasn't Thanos, and lost sight that the fact that the whole reason this happens is because they're trying to protect from Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like that might have been what jarred a lot of people, comparatively from this movie to the first movie.
Well, they didn't know that Thanos was the threat that was coming. They just knew something was coming from outer space because they had Loki invade with what the fuck were they called?
Well, no, I meant us as the audience.
Oh, the viewers. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely did throw you a curveball because you do see him at the end of Avengers, and then we got the Guardians of the Galaxy movies that had come out after whatnot, and then this came out after that. I'm pretty sure because Thanos was just a blip.
Thanos was the end credit scene of this movie.
I thought he was
him turning in the corner and just seeing half his face. I thought that was the end of the first Avengers.
That's the first Avengers, isn't it?
What was the end credit scene of this one?
I forgot. I just watched it earlier today.
Because remember, he comes up to her and he comes up to Thanos and he says to go against them is to court death, and that's when he turns around and smiles at the end of Avengers. Because they show all of them dead in Tony's vision. They don't show Thanos, but they show the Chitauri. So I'm just assuming like at this point they know something's coming, they just don't know what.
Well, I think Tony's keeping that shit to himself.
Okay,
he's
so
compartmentalizing and holding it all in at this point. That's why he's like, I tried to build an iron sheet for the world, and I think I fucked up.
End scene for this one, you see Thanos put on the Infinity Gauntlet without the stones in it yet.
Fine, I'll do it myself. I remember when he said that. Was it this one?
Yeah, yep, I'll do it myself.
What happened? Did you fast forward this shit?
Yeah, to see the end credit.
Oh, gotcha.
But are we supposed to be watching this?
I was like, oh, we're done? All right, well, thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. Appreciate the conversation.
I tell you guys, I like a lot of times when we're doing this one, especially I'll throw it up on the Discord.
Yeah.
Nice.
On mute, just for for things like that right there. What happened in the end credits? None of us remembered. I was like, let me just fast forward this real quick.
Yeah, true.
And go back to whatever.
I mean, they pulled out a lot of stops on this one. I mean, we see another rendition of the Hulkbuster get used. We see Tony integrating so much more of his technology and advanced again. I mean, it's like almost every single movie he steps up, and it just becomes more and more of the race with himself, essentially, with the technology or whatnot. This was this the first time Don Cheadle was in the movie?
Don Cheadle? No, he came on the second Iron Man.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, he's been in and out of a couple of movies.
That's too many fucking movies, man. I can't believe we're already like 2 months into shit. 3 months into this fucking podcast. It's kind of cool. Yeah,
and you're only on Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, only. Yes, only. Still got shit slated till the end of July.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Speaking of Don Cheadle, I love how his character was, where he keeps telling the story.
Yeah,
I was like, boom, or some shit. Or boom, there. I forgot what he said. And that.
They drop in the tank.
Yeah. Everybody else that wasn't an Avenger was impressed with the story. The Avenger was just like, okay, well, what else happened?
like you get to see them a little bit more than that in this movie as well. Like they're at the part right now, at the party scene. Everybody's down. Everybody's, less stressed. Everybody's in regular clothes. They're celebrating. They're having a drink. Blah 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 blah. But then shit hits the fan real quick. But this scene is also so pivotal as well because this is the foreshadowing to Endgame, where they're all having fun. They're drinking and shit. They're all bullshit. Whatever. Thor's hammers. Hey, go ahead if you want. Be my guest. Yeah, give it a shot. You know what I mean? And then fucking Rogers he kind of wedges it a little bit. You know what I mean? And fucking Thor's intrigued. His eyebrow. He's like, oh shit! Like
a payoff we don't get for like 6 years.
It's stupid because it's like fucking 15 more movies.
I will tell you though, when that moment happens, even though it might be 6 years, I've never been in a theater where I felt like I was in like, a sports arena because everyone jumped up cheering. It was crazy.
Totally worth it though. Yeah, you're right with the even waiting that long.
Big payoff. I mean, I will gripe about that later on, just because it was almost too instinctual of control. But we'll talk about that later when we get to that episode. Because I'm sorry, nobody's born with that gift. It just doesn't happen like that. You just don't pick up the hammer, and all of a sudden, all of it is encompassed in you. But anyway, I do love the fact that they tease that and they fucking throw that in there. And that's kind of one of the little highlights of this movie as well. But I really enjoy watching the banter, kind of in their own little world together. Discuss things that are still occurring, but still not concentrating, not trying to make it the main focus, but it's too pressing on everybody's mind of what's going on. But it just shows the other dynamics of interactions between characters like Banner and fucking Black Widow, and where all of that comes from, and kind of stems from, doesn't really come from, but you get a little bit better understanding of how she's like able to whistle. They show a bit of a connection there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'll call it more than a bit of a connection though, because he was gonna end up hitting that at some point. That was
Probably did. He probably did. I mean,
What? Did I miss that one? What?
Banner probably hit Black Widow.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. He's very much
I mean,
hurt.
it's still the most unlikely of the bunch. If to me, it would be the most unlikely of the bunch. I feel like Rogers probably should have smashed that second because fucking Hawkeye probably.
Nah, I
Hawkeye
gotta be.
may have some skeletons in his closet. Okay?
I mean, comic book Hawkeye.
Yeah.
That dude slept with everybody. Actually, let me ask you, because I know if you're the Marvel aficionado, you'll know this. Who's more of a man whore? Is it Daredevil, Matt Murdock, or is it Hawkeye in the comics?
From the comic book space, I would definitely go with Daredevil on that one.
Okay.
He just, his senses are that much enhanced that he has this connection with so many women.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, he's always has somebody going.
Pheromones. Yep, she's DTF. Let's go.
That's almost cheating. That's almost cheating.
Has that sense.
Yeah, fair.
Yep, she's ready.
Yeah.
I will say this about Age of Ultron.
One more line.
I will say this about Age of Ultron, though. It's a very fun movie. It's with everything you have, like you said, there's almost a humanizing factor to these heroes. It's something that I feel like, yes, as much as this is an Avenger level threat, you can still sit back and kind of have fun with it. Like something's going to get through. Like like when it came to Infinity War, they really brought you back. Civil War left everybody in turmoil, things like that. I think we need this again, like right about now. Like once they continue, get everybody kind of introduced, we need like another like Avengers movie that's just kind of fun. They go up against somebody, I miss that in the MCU at this time.
Okay.
They're doing big right now to like kind of establish a new regime, I guess, if you will, for the new age. But you're right, it's taking a little bit, and I'm sure. Well, I just hope you're right. I hope that there's something that culminates a lot of these new what would be a new Avengers team would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, just pull somebody together, like some sort of team. It doesn't. I don't have to have the exact Avengers. Of course, we're not getting them, but just like something where there's like an Avengers level threat. They got to get in there. They got to do their thing, and then it's just kind of fun.
I think it's going to come. I just don't think it's going to be within the next year or two. I think it's going to be something that's like 2-3 years down the road, maybe 4. Just because they have so many things building in the works with like She-Hulk and the Secret Wars and Iron Wars and shit like that. They're about to introduce Miss Marvel. I mean, there's so many fucking things they gotta do, and then this whole Spider-Man and Spider-Verse shit now. Doctor Strange just blew everything up and just made What If, WandaVision, and Loki fucking collide and come to real life action. It's like, okay.
And then you have Thor: Love and Thunder coming.
Yeah.
Which I still haven't seen any trailers on it or anything like that. I don't like spoiling shit until it's like about to come out and I'm about to watch the movie type deal. But I'm a little concerned because Thor is inherently kind of the lesser of the group of the movies for me. It's like I'm a little nervous. Like, I don't want to see another 7 like from the Avengers movies and fucking like Marvel movies. Like to me, the Thor movies are the lower end of the scale, and those are 7s so far.
Now
for me, Ragnarok, there may be a little bit different voting.
I was gonna say I'm with you on that. I've never seen Ragnarok, and from what I've heard from that one, that's like the out of going in the order we're going in, that's the best one out of the first 3. Because I was
yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
So
absolutely,
that's the beautiful thing about this as well, Mick, is that for him especially, 2/3 of this, if not almost, Yeah, I would say like 75 to 80% of this is almost first watch for him. He's only seen maybe 4 or 5 of these movies out of the 30 that we're reviewing right now.
Oh,
So
damn, man.
so it's a big deal. Yeah, that's why I'm super loving this right now because I get his reaction and it's new for him.
And then not only that though, Chris, but to add on to that is I'm watching it in the best way you can watch these films, which is in chronological order. Like how I say, if you go back on the horror spectrum with The Conjuring, you watch those in chronological order, it's so much more enjoyable.
Wait, you're doing all this in chronological order?
Yeah, the timeline order from
I knew you did Captain Marvel already, and it threw me off, so I kind of thought you were. So where are you
Captain
at?
Marvel was the second movie.
Yeah, no, it's Captain America, then Captain Marvel,
Yeah,
and then Iron Man, right?
Yep.
I don't even remember.
Hold on.
Because we did those, and then the shorts we did as like a pre-record.
So
I remember
Captain
the shorts
America,
episode.
Captain Marvel, Iron Man 2, then Thor, then Avengers, then Thor: The Dark World, then Iron Man 3, then Captain America: Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, which we just recorded the other day. We got to record Guardians 2, and now we're on Age of Ultron. So next is going to be Ant-Man. So he doesn't even have to suffer through the shit that we had to suffer and deal with as these movies were coming out over fucking 10 years in the most jumbled fucking order that you got to remember what pieces of the puzzles belong to where after you see the shit, and you waited 2 or 3 years for the fucking sequels and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you watch The Incredible Hulk?
I've seen that years ago.
The original, yeah. Which was Ed Norton or the one before?
Well, the Ed Norton one is connected to this world.
Yeah. They finally threw it all in, and they actually. In one of that we watched too, because we're watching those in there too, because Marvel has these short little episodic things or whatnot that go on. That was actually mentioned when they were bringing in the consultant, which ended up being Tony. That when in New York, when fucking Banner was destroying the city, fighting. What the hell was the guy's name? Abomination. Yeah. So they mentioned that. And that's how they fucking grouped it all in and threw finally the whole tie-in with it all and shit like that. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Yep. And then Hurt, William Hurt plays his character throughout.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm interested to see what they do with that, because Ross's Thunderbolts, now that he's gone, are they going to recast? I think they should.
I agree.
Wait, who? What did I miss? What's going on?
William Hurt died. The guy who plays Ross.
Oh shit! The general, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Liv Tyler's dad in the movie. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so hey, couple of recasts, and it's fuck. I mean, I guess it's. Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of fucked up. Like I didn't even know that. I'm not sure like how many people realize that either. And it's like for sure Chadwick's gone. That's the big thing. They're gonna recast him. You know what I mean? But
I'm kind of annoyed about that whole thing because they've recast people for less.
Right.
Like they've recast a lot of people. A lot of fans were like, just recast Chadwick. Like, we understand. It's not like we're mad that he died. We get it, man. But keep the hero. Why not? And just recast, give another actor the chance. And, a lot of the arguments were coming up. You can recast Batman, Superman, and all these other characters. Why can't you recast Black Panther?
You said the ones they recast all the fucking time too. Batman and Superman.
Bring Sam Kinison. He's a version of Ross. Okay.
Sam Kinison. Okay. He's gone too. Significantly longer, but that would be a funny one. I don't know. Like with this, like Age of Ultron was a good bridge to. It was a better bridge to the next phase than Ant-Man was. Ant-Man when it came out, I like Ant-Man, but it's probably I don't know if it's my least favorite in the whole series, but it's up there. And it just felt sort of like a dud after this came out.
Okay, so when I first watched Ant-Man, when I first went to the theater saw Ant-Man, I left with a kind of like a kind of feel. But then I watched it a couple more times, and then as these movies start to come out more, and even though he's kind of the smallest character, and then finally one of the biggest not issues, but I guess the biggest parts of the resolution after the snap and shit to bring shit back and bring people back, like that's what made me kind of appreciate it more. So for me, it was kind of the delayed reaction. So that's why I say that the Thors are kind of the 7 for me. But It's not too far off. Let me just say that it's not too far off with Ant-Man.
Oh, I definitely think we need. I'd be cool if Sam Elliott to come back. Why not? I would. I like that they introduced Ant-Man. I'm glad they brought him in. I just thought it should have been maybe the movie right before this.
Okay.
So that way, when he shows up in Civil War, it's like you're not ending on Ant-Man. I just thought like this leading into Civil War, which would have been the next phase. Personally, I thought that would have been better.
Okay.
I
See,
would.
and I have no gripes about that transition because I just felt like Civil War just fucking re-exploded the energy and just makes everything so much more impressive and just like I love Civil fucking War. I love Civil War. One of my favorite in this entire MCU is Civil War.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this next one. I've never seen it, so I can't wait to see it.
I love Civil War.
You've never seen Civil War?
How are you surprised when you just told everybody I haven't seen like 75 or 80% of
I
these
thought this
films?
was one of the ones that you saw. Like, I don't want to ruin shit either. Like, that's the other thing. Fuck.
Nah, I didn't see Civil War.
No,
You
but
gotta see Civil War.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I gotta be honest with you. As much as I like Civil War, though, and it is a great movie, out of the Captain America trilogy, Winter Soldier is still my favorite.
Thank you.
yes,
Thank you.
I agree with that too. I just saw that the other day. That was on.
It's such
good.
a solid, such a great movie.
Bro, I watched it after we did the review. I watched it again that night. Woke up in the morning, put the shit on again. Fucking that night, put the shit on again to fall asleep to. Such a good fucking movie. Such a good fucking movie, man.
I agree.
It really
And
is.
I think that's where I'm at, and that's why I say with like Phase 2, it starts with Iron Man 3, then you go to Thor: the Dark World. Those two are not the strongest. Now I've come to like Iron Man 3 more. Dark World, whatever. But then you get Captain America, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, and then this movie. Those are three powerhouse movies.
Yep.
And then Ant-Man, and then Civil War. It felt like it felt very lopsided in the middle once you hit Ant-Man. That's why I was like, maybe shuffle that back a little bit more.
Does Ant-Man have not have a curse? Does it fall under the issue of like following an Avengers movie though? Like what came after the first Avengers movie? You guys remember?
Like when they were released?
Iron Man 3 was the first movie after.
I mean, as far as watching them in chronological order.
Right, and Iron Man 3 was the one after Avengers.
Iron Man 3.
Thor: Dark World.
Thor: Dark World. So Thor: Dark World came after the first Avengers movie. If you're watching it in the order we're watching it now, and that, or if that kind of hurts it because you're coming off of a high, like yo, this was fucking awesome, boom, and then you go to this. Not that it was a bad movie, Thor, but it's like it didn't live up to this past film. And I'm so used to, from going through this for the most part, I'm so used to the films being, at least if not at the same level, going up a little bit. And then Thor kind of just drops it back down. And then you kind of, so maybe it's the same, maybe it's similar with Ant-Man. I haven't seen it yet, but maybe it's kind of similar with Ant-Man. I know that this Avengers film kind of got some weird vibes to it. I enjoyed it, but I know there was people that didn't. But I wonder if that's kind of the thing with Ant-Man.
I will say, I'm not putting Ant-Man down. I like it as a movie. It's just it's a very different movie from like what we were getting.
The thing was that like when I saw it, I had the same initial thought when I went to the theater. I was kind of iffy on it. I had to go back and watch it a few times. And I think of it more as a heist movie. And when you think I look at it a totally different way. Kind of, they take on certain aspects like, a horror aspect of the new Doctor Strange or, whatever, just having that kind of like undertone of an already existing kind of genre.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
See, I feel like those movies were kind of meant to slow the pace down just a little bit for you for the next ones that were to come because they wanted to make sure that they had more of that impact, but they were still needed so that they told the story, they kept you hooked on, and then brought in some new interesting things for you to digest, but not in the meantime. But at the same time, my problem is that Thor just felt like it had so many flaws and so many holes. It just felt so unpolished compared to the rest of these
Mhm.
that even Ant-Man to me overshadows, even though it's still a close close scoring in my head based thing. But like I said, I think it was intentional in their parts so that they can still keep things coming for you, keep things fresh, keep you wanting to see what happens and more, and keep you on that hook. And I think they do a good job. You know, like I said, I like Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. I don't mind it at all. I've seen Kurt Russell in a role. You know what I mean? I thought there were certain dynamics in that movie, and we'll talk a bit more then. That could have been a slightly better, but like I said, you still can't be mad at even for the lower end of these scales for one of these movies that are talking like sevens. You know what I mean? Because we watch tons of movies that we can get down close to the 0 range. So for me, watching all day 7s to 10s, I'm fucking ecstatic with.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair to say. And I know what he was talking about. There's a lot of bad horror movies we watch, but hey, I love it.
It's not even just the horror movies. There's been some that we watch on like Popcorn and Pints that I'm fucking like looking for a drill, like trying to end it, man. Trying to put something through my head. Jesus Christ.
I mean, shit. Next week we got fucking The Sound of Music and what was the other one? Outcast.
Outcast with
oh my god.
I almost said Johnny Cage, Nicolas Cage, and Christensen.
I hate
Nicolas Cage.
hate The Sound of Music so much. I'm on record.
One more time.
I hate that movie. It is a dog shit musical, and it should burn a fiery death.
So does this mean you probably won't accept my invitation to come on and review that? And
no,
Outcast
I won't even review it. That's how much I hate that movie. I hate that movie. That's unironic. I'm not joking. I hate that movie. My wife loves it. She wants to watch it all the time. She knows I hate it, so she wants to watch it even more. I hear any of them singing, and I cringe.
I was like, as soon as you started just talking about it, like you even reviewing it, and it just sucked the life out of you.
I'm
going to bed. Sound of Music. Don't do it to yourself. Don't watch that dog shit 3-hour movie.
We're already doing it
where nothing happens for until the last 15 minutes, and even then, it just sucks. I'm going to hide behind a coffin. They'll never see us here. Oh, there's 17 of us, but they won't see us. They're just Nazis. Stupid dog shit movie. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the true story or the family.
But the movie.
That was based on a true story?
How do you end the movie? All right.
Okay.
You want to talk about uLTRON. We can't do this. I'll go crazy.
No, I want you to finish your rant. You gotta get the fucking check.
You don't want to. It's a bullshit. It's this family goes in real life, not in this fucking movie. In real life, they go on a harrowing journey through the mountains of Austria to escape the Nazis, and they go through everything. They go to hell and back, and they stick together as a family. Do you tell that story? Fuck no, you don't tell that story. Your last 5 minutes is the beginning of that story. But it's a 3-hour movie of them just singing about fucking bullshit. And I hate it. I hate the fact that nothing happens for 3 hours in a movie. And then it's like, we have to escape the Nazis into the mountains. It's going to be a terrible journey. Now, movie's over.
See, you telling that part of the story, I was like, yo, are you serious? I can't wait to watch this movie. And then you're like, no,
you're not going to see that. You're not going to see any of it.
The rug gets flipped right under you.
You're gonna watch this stupid dog shit movie, and then listen to their dog shit music, and then come out and just be like, I got to read the real story to see what happened, because that's the interesting part. I hate this shit. I hate that movie so much.
Oh man,
I've never. You can't. There's 2 movies you cannot bring to my attention, and that's that movie and Dune, the old one, not the new one.
Well, what was it? Fucking 3 to 7 back in the day.
Fuck.
But The Sound of Music, yeah, it was. About 3.
No, fucking Dune. It was like 3 or 4 cassettes, if I remember correctly.
So was The Sound of Music. It was long as fuck.
You know what the problem is? We live in a world where, and I'm not getting political, but we do live in a world where people burn books. We do live in a world where people are trying to overturn Roe v. Wade. Now, I don't care where you stand on that. Things like that. This is what's happening. And those motherfuckers are the ones that watch that stupid fucking movie and love it. That's the assholes that love that fucking movie. Those fucking witch hunting assholes. Oh, it's so beautiful. They sing about fucking flowers and shit. Fuck you. I hate that fucking movie so much.
This was so.
I don't even curse this much when I'm on any show. And you guys got me so heat. I hate that fucking movie.
I love that I can bring this out of you, Mick. This is beautiful.
You're not bringing shit out of me. This is fucking Sound of Music all the way. It deserves all the hate.
I mean,
Birdie gets no hate. Birdie gets no hate.
No.
Music gets hate.
I mean, as far as bringing the film up and that, just
I hate that movie. I love Julie Andrews. She's great in many things. I mean, she's Mary Poppins. It's fucking wonderful. I love fucking Christopher Plummer. I mean, the man was in Star Trek 6. It's amazing. He's awesome. But fuck that movie. Fuck that movie so hardcore. Stupid bullshit. I'm pissed. Now I'm just mad.
Everybody do me a favor that's watching this. Go to the Scene Snobs page and do # Sound of Music.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Our guy Mick.
You watching now or later, go leave a comment. Say what's up. Follow him. We're on the trek to get him to
subscribe to the page. # Sound of Music. We need him to get, what was it, 5,000? And go
you
to his
said that, not me, but I'll take it.
Subscribe to his YouTube channel. 5,000 people. We need that, and he'll let us watch all of his films. And
yeah, that's true.
He will do a panel as we're watching them all, like a watch together. So
AMA, baby, ask me anything.
Yes.
Why was this movie terrible? Now listen, don't get me wrong. The movies I made were terrible too. Very. But they were terrible in a good way, not like Sound of Music, where it's terrible in shittiness.
Just saying, people, let's go over there and
AJ, you are wrong. I love you. Sound of Music is not greater than which West Side Story first? If it's the old one, no. If it's the new one, yes.
The new one. I kind of want to though.
I love the pissed off Mick rants too. I need to hear more of them.
Fuck, watch my show.
I listen to it. I love those honest, not like the overhyped, fake, scripted ones, but the genuine ones like yours, like the ones I have had. James, Puerto Rican Chris goes nuts when there's a horrible horror movie. It's hilarious. But I just love that because it's funny, like looking back at it, because we look so defeated discussing it. Like fuck, like it just deflates you.
Yeah.
But you're just letting it all out, and then you go on about your day. But it's hilarious.
Part of the reason why we didn't fucking Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 last weekend. That was literally part of the reason why I didn't even do my own podcast. I was moving.
I love AJ, but he's such an antagonist because he knows he's just trying to set me off with more rant because I don't agree with you. How good is a way better movie than Iron Eagle? And I love Iron Eagle. I love Iron Eagle.
Oh man,
but come on!
I think
first of all, you
need a Scene Snobs mixed rant special.
Who got
every episode? There's one. Casey knows how to set me off.
But just like Sound of Music, boom, go.
No, don't. Because it's 12:42 at night, and I'm already tired.
No, not now. Earlier.
All right, just to reel it back in. All right, so we got Pietro and Scarlet Witch here, Wanda coming in. What did you guys think about that dynamic? And as far as casting or whatnot, or the character portrayal of Pietro and her, like their dynamic?
I mean, I don't know. Now I'm all pissed off about fucking Sound.
You're gonna be thinking about that all night.
I'm trying to think about the dynamic, but now I'm thinking about the dynamic of the stupid family, Von Trapp family.
He's gonna flip, but she gonna play that movie tomorrow. Why the
be professional? Reel it back in. There
you go. Reel it in.
I don't know. No, I thought they were good together. Not great. They didn't. It's like they tried to skirt the line between the Ultimates version of Wanda and Pietro, where like there's there's something going on here, to just regular Wanda and Pietro, and I was like, figure this out, figure this shit out. It was a weird dynamic, but I didn't mind it. They killed him too quickly, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree that they killed Pietro too early.
Way too.
Right.
When I first seen this, I'm like, okay, he's gonna get to them and be able to run past, because Flash would have got them and saved them and been alive. Fine. Just saying, you got that one up on them, DC. I guess. I didn't do my usual DC bashing, so I had to kind of do a light, give him a little love, but still bash him at the end of the day.
But can I actually ask a physics question about Age of Ultron? I know that's a lot. I'm like really padding my bets here, but
Let's try.
Last I checked, he was super fast. He wasn't super strong.
Correct.
He definitely isn't bulletproof.
Correct.
Now, I'm a pretty strong guy, I think, in my advanced age. Maybe not as much as it was 15 years ago, but I don't think I could just push a car in front of people. And this dude is just fast, right? Like, he just ran up and just pushed the car over. Like,
I mean, if he's similar to Flash, I guess he's not able to get like superhuman strength, but he does get some sort of strength.
And maybe momentum, right? The speed, the push, and its force. You know what I mean? Because he's moving so fast. That's like when he's going super fast, he fucking punches Captain America and fucking sends him flying. And I think that's just true. Because of the sheer force of his speed, movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I liked the other Pietro Maximoff better from X-Men.
X-Men, yep.
Because that's what I was getting at. He wasn't like moving things in front. Like he was moving people out of the way, or if he was moving things in front, it was stuff that he knew would work, or like I don't know. It just seemed to work better.
I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That whole circular thing that they had in the X-Men one, so I do think they portrayed that Quicksilver a lot better. In regard to like Wanda and Pietro in this movie, it's kind of what you said earlier, where it's like perspective. I think that, you know, they were almost our guides through the movie, in the fact that, like, you know, they hated the Avengers and teamed up with Ultron until Wanda saw what Ultron was planning on doing and wiping out the Earth. And then they realized that, you know, they weren't being told the full truth and that their perspective was kind of askew. And so then they teaming up with the Avengers to, you know, try to stop what he was going to end up doing of dropping that city and having an Earth killer. So it was like they kind of guided us in the sense of, you know, someone and their perspective on how they could, you know, be against the Avengers and have one perspective of, you know, holding the Avengers responsible for their parents' death, and then end up by the teaming up with them.
Yeah,
that's one thing I did have an issue with this movie, especially now seeing where Wanda ended up throughout her whole journey. But I almost would have preferred if they made Pietro the one that got mad.
That's kind of why I thought he died too early. You know, it's like I think you're kind of good in the sense, you're right in the sense of it would have been an interesting perspective from Pietro's view.
Yeah, just like have him be the one that goes against Ultron and she follows him, but she might not have the same feelings.
Yeah.
Just because of where she goes and what she becomes. But I thought it just would have played a little bit better, but who knows? Josh Whedon not paying attention, you know, making people cry.
I mean, that was probably Disney. You know what I mean? The Disney aspect of it, like, hey, we got to get some horses here, guys.
Yeah. Somebody has to die, guys. You know how Disney goes from kid movies to adult movies.
They're tugging at our strings too. When then, like, in this movie is the first time we see like kind of like the start of Hawkeye. Retreating back to his house, and that's when you realize he has a wife and kids and all this other stuff. None of the Avengers knew that at that point.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm so glad they added that, because that just added a like 10 new levels to Hawkeye that I just thought made so much better. You know, because in the comics he's a great character and he's wonderful, a lot of dimensions, but they did not do that in the first movie at all.
No. And it kind of it's like, you know, going back to their house during like what was that? That was the end credit scene to Infinity War, where like, or was it the beginning of Endgame, where like he realized his family just got bleeped. The whole family got bleeped.
Oh yeah, it was Endgame. We didn't see him at all in Infinity War. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what ended up turning him into Ronin. And it was just like, that you if you didn't have that scene and establish the family, like it wouldn't have driven home when that happened and his family disappeared instantaneously. I know what I would do. I'd probably do the same thing he did. Is just go and kill like bad guys, like with no remorse.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I still got a job to do, but now I don't give a shit no more. Everything I have is gone.
It is gone.
It is
Yep.
what it is.
So let me ask you this then, because we know what happened when he turned into Ronin, and we've seen Punisher. Who's the bigger badass after the family goes?
Ooh.
Not comics. Not comics. Take comics out of it.
Well, I think that Frank Castle had it the worst.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
He did get his family back. Or not Frank Castle, but
yeah, but fuck, see, that's a tough one because Castle is. I don't give a fuck what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna blow shit up. I'm gonna blow you up. You can be in pieces. I don't care. It is what it is. And then Ronin's like, yo, I'm gonna strategically fuck you up. I'm gonna hack you and take everybody out as silently as I can. If I can't, and shit right, I'm doing what I gotta do. It is what it is.
yeah.
So maybe they're on the same level, just on different sides of the table.
I mean,
Nah, Castle just blows shit up and fucking murders people like no problems, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's his breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So,
and like we said before, he doesn't get his family back, so he's just gonna have this burrowed inside of him for a very long time until he dies.
I'm not gonna lie, I would love to see that happen, him be thrown into this mix somehow, because there's things with Spider-Man that can make that work. I would love to see fucking the Punisher start coming in, or maybe even if they did some type of a cross between like Punisher, Deadpool, and fucking Spider-Man, because they need the violence. Deadpool's the violence ring part of it. You know what I mean? I would love to fucking see that. Love to see that.
There's rumor that they want to do a Midnight Suns spinoff, be it that Punisher, Morbius, Punisher, Morbius, Ghost
Knight, I think,
Ghost and like do the Midnight Suns aspect of everything.
Yeah, I mean, you could put. I mean, they introduced Black Knight with Blade.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that. Moon Knight.
They're supposed that we do have a Blade coming.
Yeah, we have Werewolf by Night coming too. So I mean, there's gonna be a lot of supernatural.
That is, so that's gonna be something new for me.
I thought the werewolves by night there was a chance that they were going to pop into Moon Knight with all the Egyptian stuff and everything, but that didn't.
I fucking love that show. God, I love that.
You know what I really respected about Moon Knight was everybody, including myself on this, was speculating what it could be and what it's going to lead to.
Yeah.
And that show was very isolated and contained within itself. And I actually appreciated that because I was like, we've had the past 5 seem like they were broad and connected to movies and other things. I was like, at least Moon Knight was kind of like its own thing.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I feel like we need to kind of get back to, and I kind of feel like I felt that way with Doctor Strange too. I was like, all right, with everything we were kind of hoping for, it's like, no, they kind of made it about them, that core, and I like that.
I mean, he's kind of the hub for a lot of things at this point now, and that's kind of where they're going, I guess, with him being the Sorcerer Supreme and all that shit, right? And looping in this what if role, and then Dark Strange and all this other shit. Which Sturdy, I know you know nothing about, but you will once we get more of this. It's gonna make a whole lot more sense, and that's why I'm super excited to get down through this stuff, because now that there's more stuff coming out, by the time we get to the tail end of this, there'll be more stuff for us to get caught up on, and then other shit that'll be dropping in the same time, so that we can continuously Legion Ball rolling till I'm like 65 and old and gray. Pretty much that's what it feels like. It's going to be the next 15 of my life part of podcasting. But I just love how they keep doing shit like that. Moon Knight sets you up so well with this whole feel of a past and the history thing and whole Egyptian dynamic of the gods and all this other shit. So that to me is just super dope. I feel like there's gonna be some correlation to that they go back with somehow the Eternal shit that goes on and what's done and however they're gonna continue, because I still don't even know how. I can't even put it together in my head how they're gonna throw in the Eternals and what happened in that movie to what's going to be coming in the next progression of the timeline. Because I feel like they threw that in, and it's, to me, it's just like, what the fuck is this? Where's this going?
Yeah. Like, how is it attached to the multiverse? What's going on with the multiverse?
How is this part of the timeline? Like, yeah, you talk about the blip, but that's the only fucking thing to me that makes it part of the timeline, is that you were like, oh, well, 5 years ago. Okay, but how does this relate to those events? How does this relate to the events that are coming? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's in the timeline. For that, it should have just been its own fucking episodic thing.
It almost feels like, you know, the Eternals was a proof that Thanos was right, and the he would have wiped out half of the Earth, then there was no chance that we would have reached that maximum capacity that the Celestial would have
needed. Yeah, I guess that's the only other tie-in.
Yeah, it's like, is that the only reason why you gave us the Eternals?
Yeah, don't even get me started on that shit.
I thought the Eternals was gonna like bring out Galactus or something. Like,
I mean, it opens the door to the cosmic world even more so than we got with Captain Marvel and with Guardians of the Galaxy. So, I mean, this is, you know, we saw Celestial. That's a big deal. So, and you know, I feel like that's kind of what's happening right now. My theory so far with all of it is that they're trying to introduce all aspects. Now, the supernatural, the cosmic world, things like that. And I have a feeling it's all going to culminate into like a Secret Wars type of situation.
Which they hinted at that it might come down to that. Which I'm down for. I'm down for, but it just, some of this shit is just it doesn't seem as, how do I say, as breadcrumby trail as the rest of this whole shit has been. So it almost seems like there's a few things that are starting to kind of derail. But for me, that's just for me. Maybe I'm trying to look into things and piece things together too hard at this point. But I don't know. I just think they did so good for the last 15 years that now it's like, are they changing the formula on us? Or are they just like, what is going on? I don't know. We'll see where it all goes.
I think you have to change the formula now. So much is different now. So many characters we knew from back then are gone.
Okay, so are we then getting a reboot again, or a reintroduction to either Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer?
Yes.
You know what I mean? We mod a cartoon or, you know, show, but then, so now, you know what I mean? That's why I'm saying, like, yo, is Galactus coming? Is he not? Are we, you know, we saw, what the fuck was the name of the guy that Strange was fighting in the timescape there?
Dormammu?
Yeah, Dormammu. So I'm like, something else has to come in. Now we got the What If thing in the Watcher, and then we saw what happened in that, which 30 you'll see. So now I'm like, there gotta be something other than what I know for sure is probably coming, which is that whole revisit of an entity that we may or may not have just seen here in this movie.
Well, Dormammu was a big Easter egg that maybe not a lot of people realize, like in Doctor Strange, the new one. Again, I don't want to give up too much because it's opening weekend, but
okay.
You know, and I can tell you off air if you want, but I don't want to.
No, I want to watch it. And that's the thing.
Oh, okay.
So, like, I watched the Batman this week. I'm trying to get that in so that I can do 2 off the midnight and just get them up for people for content. Definitely want to review that. So if you want to be down on that, just let me know as well. I just gotta let you know when I watch it.
I love that movie.
And the other thing that we always have to take into consideration with Marvel is they just acquired. I mean, not just by any means. It was like what, 4 or 5 years ago, they acquired Fox, Spotlight, and, you know, reacquired the X-Men back and got the Fantastic Four back and have this, you know, catalog characters that they just haven't used yet. So once they start getting implemented into everything, that opens the door for stories that they haven't told that are more complex because it included everybody. It includes a lot more people in it that, we still need to see for that story to play out. So I think that, the one thing I've always said, other than some of our one-offs like, Dark World or Ant-Man or whatnot, that, Marvel has pretty much hit the mark every time for us. And so to me, I just trust them at this point. Like, give me something, I'm going to watch it, and I can guarantee I'm going to like it. Like you said, I live in the 7 to the 10. So the lowest you're going to get from me is like a 7.5. Like, so and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with some of these characters they haven't used yet.
Yeah, I agree. And those are good replacements for the ones we've lost so far, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. An MCU Wolverine, I would love to see that. I already know how to play it, too.
All right, so coming back to Ultron here, what did you guys think of the actual character of Ultron? It was voiced by the dude from Blacklist. I think he did a phenomenal job.
What's that?
I said I think he did a phenomenal job. I think the character was. I enjoyed Ultron as a character because you were almost at the point that I don't like him and I hate him, but at the same time he's so charismatic. But he was so like, I don't. He voiced them just made me like kind of teeter on the fence. So I did a great job.
Yeah, I think that because it was William Spader and like knowing who he was prior to him voicing Ultron, his voice and like picturing him, like knowing like other roles that he's been and how creepy he's been, made Ultron like instinctively creepy.
Yeah, I agree. And I like how he played it too. Somebody had pointed out to me a few years ago that he's quick to get very angry when people say things he doesn't like. And they were like, well, he's AI. Why is he getting angry? But somebody pointed out that he learned everything he needed to know off the internet. And the internet is an angry place that gets angry off of anything and will set you off quickly. So it makes sense like why he would be that way. And also he's a part of Tony Stark.
There you go. That's
Stark
the part I was going to say. That plays a huge role, right? Because he's programmed and modeled after himself, after Tony. So it's like all of Tony's insecurities and all that shit, whether you realize when you're doing the coding and all that shit, if you're hitting that portion of you or whatnot, building the personality and then allowing it to develop and learn on its own, there's no way sometimes you're going to be mindful of certain things. It's the human condition. We're aware and we're self-aware to the point that sometimes we forget what exactly we're aware of at times, especially if you're doing something like that where you just zone in and you just tunnel vision on shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I fucking love the character. I think they did a great job. I love how he just hops from fucking robot to robot. I love that he's like, hey, yeah, you got me now, but look, I'm over here now. How? You guys in the internet. Like, I can take over your phones if you want. Like,
basically.
But yeah, that whole shit, the internet, that's another play on kind of a modern day social dynamic that we face every day, right? Like sometimes you're on this social media scrolling, you're getting all this shit. You're being fed tons and tons of things rapidly so fast, and you're not even realizing just like the negative connotation that's happening from it, the buildup that's occurring as you keep getting types of things. Topics may be changing, but it's still in a certain tone. It's still being delivered a certain way. There's formulas to post that people do and all this shit to invoke certain emotion out of you. And you're not privy to it unless you're paying attention or you disconnect for a little bit. And then you go back to it and you're like, fuck, man, you know what? All right, let me put this to the side again. I'm done with this shit for a little bit. You know what I mean? It's almost like you have to just disconnect yourself at some point in order to be like, oh shit, okay, yeah, this is affecting me. You know what I mean?
No, I agree with you.
Very true.
I mean, I don't have much to add to that. That was well put. Appreciate you.
All right, so we had fucking what's his face, Patchy, Nick Fury dying
Fucking bad.
Captain America, yeah, patchy. Dying Nick in the Captain America. He faked his death. He came back. He reassembles the team, and they're here now. He's trying to work with Tony on this fucking power struggle and shit that he's dealing with internally. But there's no coaching. This guy knows everything, right? He just already formulated and came up with the deductions in his brain way ahead of everybody else that, and again, plays a role in his development of his AI because the thing is just so rapidly learning and fast moving that it's like, no, I know what I got to do, and the fucking plan just keeps snowballing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's Tony to a T.
Yeah,
He definitely is.
What movie is this for fucking Nick Fury? This is like his 9th movie, I think? 8th or 9th movie?
He was in the first one. He was in the first one at the end. He was in Iron Man 2. He was in Captain America: The First Avenger, The Avengers. So that's, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Iron Man's.
He was in Winter Soldier 5.
Yep.
Age of Ultron 6.
He was in Far From Home.
Far From Home, yep. That's 7.
He was in Endgame.
Yep.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
8, 9. So so far 9.
So he's about due for a contract renewal. I think
he's going to be. Well, no, he's going to be back. He's working on a project now. They're doing Secret Invasion as a TV show.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So
Wow.
and that's his show. So like he's going to star in that one.
Nice. Excited for that now.
Because he's with the Skrull. He's with the Skrull.
Yeah.
So the cat may make an appearance, Sturdy. Yo, I've been looking for that cat. Every time I'm seeing the collector seeds in Guardians of the Galaxy and shit, I'm like, yo, that cat's gotta be in one of those fucking cages. I pointed out to Sturdy the other day, I don't know if anybody else knows, but there was a dark elf in one of the cages. Obviously, we see fucking Howard the Duck at the end while the collector's trying to get himself back together there.
Howard the Duck.
Yeah, and then I don't understand the dynamic of some of his slaves and some of the people that he was keeping hostage or whatnot, because one of the same type of breed was married to the cop from the Nova Force that played in Talladega Nights and Step Brothers.
John C. Reilly.
Yeah, there you go. I always forget his fucking name. But yeah, I was
he's doing a great job on his show now.
What show was that?
Winning Time, about the 1980 Lakers.
Yeah.
I gotta check that out.
Gotta check that
out. But yeah, that's another character that intrigues me, and I kind of wish. Well, I hope at some point maybe somebody does like a short miniseries or something about the collector and all the shit he gets and where he gets his shit from. I was so mad at fucking Thor: Dark World when they delivered that ether to him and was like, "Here, hold this for us." Well, why do you want me to hold it? Doesn't your fucking vault good? Well, we already got one of the Infinity Stones. You hold this one for us.
Yeah.
I was so mad. How the fuck are you gonna give him a secret and tell him another secret? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna get back to Thanos.
I'm so fucking mad. Yeah, and then the dude's in the pocket. Like,
yeah.
First of all, you know who you're doing business with.
Here you
He's
go.
got all this shit around. He's got through what means, and you're like, we trust him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like trusting an arms dealer. Like, no.
None of it made any sense. There was no depth to that character whatsoever. Other than we knew he was abusive and enslaving people, or beings rather. But other than that, it's like this character means absolutely nothing, and I don't know why you're trusting him.
Yeah, the collector is the Grand Master's brother.
Oh yeah, in the comics, he's worth it. Like there's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they make them brothers in the movies.
I don't think they've ever made reference to it if they're brothers or not.
They should. That would make sense.
Interesting. That's another thing that I can't wait to get to Iraq, actually. All right, guys.
Oh shit.
What were you gonna say about Ragnarok?
Ragnarok was awesome. That was like it gave me the feeling of walking out. When I walked out of watching that movie, it made me feel like I was walking out of Guardians for the first time. It was like uplifting. The music was good. It was like the synthesized 80s retro was kind of cool in the music, and like just Tiki just knows what he's doing, you know?
And that's what I like. That's a little bit what I fear about this next one, the Love and Thunder. The imagery for like the wording and shit like that. That's kind of what I feel like. I forgot who was talking to me about it, but it almost feels like they're going down. Actually, I think it was Brandon. They're going down that whole fucking like hairband rocker 80s, early 90s kind of vibe for it. So I'm like, is this gonna be good? I really hope it is. I really hope they don't get back to like Thor 1 and 2 vibe. I hope they stay with fucking Ragnarok and keep the tempo up, keep it all.
This is gonna be.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Listen, Taika Waititi can shit in his hand and throw it at the screen, and I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I won't even watch Sound of Music, and that fucker won an Academy Award.
Yeah.
And I will watch Taika Waititi throw shit at a screen.
So I finally found your Blood Lake. It's the Sound of Music. That makes me feel
Blood Lake is a goddamn national treasure compared to Sound of Music. Fuck that movie.
Wow.
Sound of Music is Titanic.
What's up?
That's fair.
Who's that? Hello.
Well, hello, Marvel Studios. If you're here to talk about Age of Ultron, you're in luck.
You're in the right place. We were just telling people all the great things about this movie, all the things we love. I don't think we've said one bad thing about this fucking movie yet.
It's because there is nothing bad because Marvel Studios is watching us right now.
Listen, I like to keep it 100, okay? So they signed up. They're going to get my unfiltered honesty.
I feel like there was like a few things we commented on, like Pietro's death and
too fast.
Too soon. Way too soon.
Yeah, I felt like that should have been played out more.
Kind of, like you said, I kind of wish they would have casted the same guy from Days of Future Past or whatever from the X-Men or First Class for
American Horror Story as well.
Well, maybe you should
not
watch
as bad
more
as
of it.
DC and recasting everything and everybody on every movie, so I'm good with that. I am good with that. I did enjoy this though. At the end of the day, and this like I said, this is one of my favorite as far as the Avenger movies goes. Winter Soldier is one of my favorite in the top 3, literally of all MCU and Civil War. But yeah, again, these movies they bring a smile to your face. They make you connect with some values through all of the heroism and all the different dynamics of all the different characters that they show and they develop really well, and they portray really well as actors in the casting that they've done. So I have nothing to complain about up to this point. As we get to the end of this here, we know what happens in Sokovia, and that leads to Civil War and the shit going on with the Accords and stuff, which Sturdy you'll see. It kind of plays off of the things that happen in Winter Soldier, where it's kind of like, so what exactly? Where do we stop with the means to the end? You know what I mean? They're heroes, but shit happens in the time of heroism, and things get wrecked and destroyed, and no one ever talks about that until this movie, pretty much, until these movie series. Because before that, superheroes can destroy whole cities, whole mountainsides, as long as the villain's done and that's no longer a threat. We can rebuild. Fuck it. Like,
that's fine.
I mean, if you're going
like,
just
whoa.
If you're going just by comic books alone, New York City should not exist anymore.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, no.
Yeah. But even in this movie, they had the internal, like, they had that in the disagreement on whether or not they should have created Vision or not.
Yep. Again, that struggle. This one didn't really play too much off of the dynamic of leader, of the power struggle within the team there. I think they did a really good job of having it be balanced. Thor went off by himself for a little bit to have his vision to do his thing. But everybody else was inclusive. Rogers is off, like, handling a piece of the mission, trying to get things situated and chasing the truck and all this other stuff. But there really wasn't power struggle. I don't think in this movie. I didn't feel that at all. Am I crazy or?
The only time I felt like there was a power struggle was literally they had a conversation of morally, was it right for them to create Vision? And if, them not telling them, Banner and Stark telling them about creating this, and then that's when Thor comes in and smashes the container that was holding Vision. Vision's born, and he was like, "This has to be done. This is in my vision. This needs to happen." And then it was the creation of Vision. But there was a moral debate on whether or not they should have created Vision or not in this movie.
Yeah, I definitely understood that, and I kind of saw that as more of a big picture thing, not a small, isolated, hey, you're fucking up a team dynamic, and you know what, since you're fucking it up, I'm running the show from here on out type of deal. I think Rogers kind of led it to a good point of just staying, he wasn't neutral about it, but he handled it in a way that it wasn't like, well, you take a seat, you need to do what I say from here on out because you fucked it all now, you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. I agree with you there. And I just think that it was like one of the first seeds where, they could see that they didn't work well in the beginning of Avengers and then came together and formed this, very strong team, very bonded team to a point where they were attacking Van Strike in the beginning, like all united. They're partying together, and then they get to Vision and they have this, dilemma on morals on whether or not this is right or not. But they go along with it, and it ends up taking out Ultron and everything like that. But that was the first seed into seeing that there could easily be a wedge that creates what would be the Accords into dividing that team. And that was the first hint of it that there is definitely something that can break this team up.
Yeah, and that was the whole point, right, of the tactic of Ultron. Like he said, I'm going to kill them from the inside.
Yep.
I'm going to have them kill themselves, you know what I mean, type deal. And that's that's the fall of every team, right? If you get the team to no longer be a team, everything collapses, right? There's no longer the foundation to hold them up. So I definitely got that. I definitely understood that. This movie is just so good.
It is, and that whole play on the team too, and the wedge being driven is like that they weren't a team, and like there's arguments, very good arguments made by both sides, especially in Civil War, of why this needs to happen and what this is all about, and like I definitely get both on both ends, but the thing that I liked about this that leads into Civil War is Cap still has an Avengers team at the end.
Yeah,
they're all loyal to him.
Yeah.
And that to me was the biggest problem with the Avengers, not in a bad way. And I think what they were going for was that they're all loyal to you right now, Cap, because you're within the realm of what everybody thinks is right.
Mm-hmm.
And then but that's never going to sustain itself as a team. Just like, you need a team to be able to disagree with each other.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Man. See, I want to ask a question, but it's more so for Civil War after Ant-Man in a couple of weeks. But I'm intrigued to know, like, in that instance, after these events that occurred, if you were part of this team, and we got to that episode there, like, where would you land and where would you be? Would you be more so on of the Accords or against the Accords? So would you be more so team Iron Man and Black Panther, or would you be more team fucking Winter Soldier Rogers, Falcon Rogers? But yeah, fuck. God damn it. I'm gonna write that down so I can remember to ask that when we get to that episode.
Well, just in case I'm not here, I'll just say for me, I would still, because it's the air of caution, I was with Steve Rogers. Not saying that there shouldn't have been some kind of oversight, but the oversight that they were putting in place was a scared tactic. Yeah. So I got why he was like, we can't do this. Like, this isn't the right way,
And that's coming from a man who literally just wants to take orders and get a job done. And he's like, no, you're not doing this correctly. I can't fit this war.
But
I can't
watch
be a
his
part of
first two
these
movies and the Avengers movies, and he's terrible at taking orders.
But you know what I mean. He's still, even though he
No,
always
you're
wants to do
right.
the right thing, he's just
You're
still
right.
like, can I just be a soldier? Can we just keep things simple? Like,
You're absolutely right. But even go back to his first movie, he was terrible at taking orders.
Yeah.
Like he just
Yeah.
went and did it anyway.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
like,
he's
so
so
he was
plain
never.
and
Yes, I think that's why. Like at the end of it, he was just like, "Nah, I'm just gonna go back in time later." It's like I'm done.
I love it. All right, so we get the climactic end. Sokovia is up in the sky. They finally get together. The big battle arises. All of the Ultrons are raging down on them. Everybody's doing their part to do what they can. Tony's on the edge of I don't know what I can do. This is going to be disastrous. Tons of people are going to die regardless, no matter what we do. They finally get to a resolution where they destroy him. It still comes crashing down, lose tons of people, which the backlash of that and the consequence of that later on. But then once we get to this point again that they're back as a team, we're moving forward with this. Like, if you're stepping away for a minute from this, where's your head at after that shit happens? No matter everything you did, everything everybody on your team did, there was just still so much loss and destruction that it's like, did we really win?
I think
Yes, because it would have been earth ending if it didn't.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
There you go.
And there's always casualties in these. They don't really show it as much as they did in this movie here. But again, we were just talking about how they have these big fights and they fucking destroy cities, like literally destroy cities. There's no way in hell that everybody in that city just happened to run down the street and survive. Like, no. So there's casualties. It's just that this movie actually really showed the casualties and showed the destruction, showed the people. Like, you seen some of the people like with blood on their face running down the street crying. Like, they showed the pain of the people that were actually going through all of this shit.
Then for Tony and Banner, are you proud at this point? Okay, I was mentally and physically exhausted. Oh, absolutely. Which I love this fucking scene too, which from like the first Avengers or whatnot, or was it this one? It comes back in Hawkeye, and it's kind of what inspires the girl to get into archery and her thing.
It was the first one.
Yeah,
That was the first one, right? When he's swinging down the side of the building.
Yeah, that's Attack on New York.
All right, so if you're Tony and Banner, after all this happens, are you then proud of yourself, knowing that Vision's still here and Vision's rocking out with you? And
See, Vision was a great idea, but it wasn't the first idea. They weren't even close to Vision. Like, it took Ultron to do it. So, like, that's a granddaddy thing they did. Like, they didn't actually make Vision. Ultron did. They made Ultron. And that was the black mark. And at the end of this, yes, you saved the day. And that's why I think ultimately the Avengers is a good thing. And where I don't agree with Tony is like, and I agree with Steve in this when he's like, every time somebody tries to end a war before it starts, people die.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. And for him to say, like, we're the Avengers, we come in as it comes at us. We can't just try and stop everything before it starts. And Tony, that's his big thing. He always tries to overthink it, and that's where he is his own worst enemy.
So then do you chalk up Ultron as a necessary evil that was needed in order to get the result of Vision to help the team and further their power in being able to stop further threats?
Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, am I glad Vision was made? Yes, absolutely. And like, if I'm living in that world, he's a force for good that should exist. But that's a hell of a lot of catastrophe that Ultron put on to get there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Is that's a huge fucking risk, because again, if you fail, the world's destroyed. Yeah. And it's like, is the risk really worth that reward? Yes, we got Vision out of it, but again, say that doesn't happen. Say Ultron gets what he ultimately wants, and then boom, world's destroyed. Everybody's well, then it's just robots or whatever.
He almost got.
But
so close to the brink.
Like Tony or Bruce, for me, would be, you know, gratifying in the fact that, you know, maybe we made a mistake the first time that caused all this, but we didn't lose, you know, the Earth. We didn't lose everyone.
Well, I think for me, I think that's where Bruce and Tony differ. Tony still sees himself as having made the right choice because it worked out in the end. And I always felt like that was Tony's MO. Like, it always worked out in the end, so it was the right choice.
Yeah. Yep.
Whereas with Banner, I think he realized this isn't the right choice. We've screwed up. We shouldn't have done this. And I'm also a menace in my other form. And that's why he sent himself off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good point.
So like, I did like that duality of like these two mad scientists, and one guy's like, man, I've caused too much ruckus as it is, and now like my normal self is causing this much damage.
Yeah. If not more, actually more, because you put more people at risk with Ultron than you ever have as being the Hulk. Because there was times where he had control. Like he was angry, he was the Hulk, but he had kind of control to where he wasn't trying to hurt anybody except for the enemy. And in this, he was like, I gotta go because I'm starting to lose my control again. As the Hulk, I'm losing my control of just getting that rage. I gotta get the fuck out of here. And I'm fucking, like you said, I'm fucking up as Bruce Banner, which was worse than what the Hulk has ever done. So I gotta get the fuck out of here.
That was a hell of a learning curve for Bruce in that movie.
Yeah, it was.
I think that's what kind of catapulted him into the whole mindset of trying to figure out how to control it to the point that he can basically exist like that as the smart Hulk and have his brain power and his brawn to coexist together, like coming up in the Endgame series once we get there or whatnot. I think that's what literally made him start to get to that point that's like, okay, I really got to do something about harnessing this thing, or else can be ultimately destructive on both ends if I'm not careful with my gifts type deal.
Very true.
I mean, and that was the one thing, just to kind of go from this movie to that, like the Hulk has always been this unstoppable force.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, and you know, the Hulk's personality grows too. The longer he's around, like his personality grows more and more. Yeah. Hence, we see that in Ragnarok when you guys get, you know, when Sturdy you get there and stuff. Like Ragnarok, he's talking, he's living his life, he's got his own room, he's doing his own thing. And he's constantly winning these epic fights.
That's awesome.
You know, he is the champion. So by the time you get to Infinity War, what do you call it? You get to Infinity War, and then he gets destroyed by Thanos to a point where it's like, I've just spent like 5 years of my life fighting as champion of the universe, and I easily got my ass handed to me. It made sense like why he didn't come out anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, nah, I don't want to do this. So Bruce, you take care of this stuff. You know, so like, and it all draws back to this movie where he didn't change back. Bruce surrendered himself.
Yep. Now, based off of the last movie with Guardians or whatnot, do you think? What is this? We will see Ultron again in live action form, Ultra Vision with future with White Vision. Just my theory, and that's part of the thing that we were talking about that we kind of like I alluded to a little bit earlier in the episode, because I think with this multiverse of madness and everything, them playing off of the what if that occurs. If you watch the what if series, you see that something reoccurs and something comes through, but in a weird fashion, and it plays within the mysticism of the time and kind of the in-between spaces that Strange is bouncing between like that, and things go awry. And what was it, Spider-Man or one that just came out, Far From Home?
No Way Home.
No Way Home. That just blew everything open to lead to this situation. So this next Doctor Strange is running right off of that. That's the end of that story and the chaos that ensued from him doing that spell there. But if we go back just a little bit, talking about our introduction to Thanos or whatnot, we had within the Guardians, we had the Ronan character. Do you think, because Ronan shocked the shit out of me when he just took that fucking Infinity Stone, barehanded that shit, and threw that shit into his hammer. I was like, oh fuck, Because if he's over here being called the boy by Thanos, but Thanos didn't expect him to be able to do that, what happens if before he even faces Thanos or anything that pops up in space, he would have got to Earth and had to fucking get to this point before even Ultron came? I think they would have had a fucking hands. I think the Avengers would have been like, what the fuck do we?
Let's hope for a season 2 of What If.
Yeah.
What if? I just realized I said, but what if he would? Yeah. Didn't even click.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, I thought that Ronan character was going to be very interesting. I hate that they killed him off in that sense kind of fast or whatnot. And I didn't even realize, supposedly he made he was in Captain Marvel, and that shit went right over my head.
Yeah.
He was in Captain Marvel, but they really did not play him the way they did in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Gotcha.
And there's a chance that he might be in the Secret Wars also.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Because he's a Skrull. Or he's a
Creed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, fellas. It's coming up in time. I don't want to keep you guys too much longer, too much later. So I think we're getting to the point. It's results time. We're going to go around clockwise. I guess I'll start it off. Love this movie. Plays a great role in the development of the further stories that are coming. Huge links, huge tragedies that occurred to develop certain characters in it and make them progress. Love the friction that occurs within the team dynamic, but like humanness and the aspects of that they throw. This one, I'm giving this one 8.5.
Ooh, nice.
It should be a 9, but there's other movies in the time that just notch it up just a little bit. And yes, this one an 8.5. So far, I've only given 1 9. I've been close to a 10. I almost gave that one. I gave a 9 a 10, but there's got to be one coming in this mix somewhere.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Really?
I enjoyed it. I had a great time with it, but honestly, I like both the Guardians of the Galaxy movies better than this. And just
shocking.
I don't know. I thought, and this is I did see this one before, but I haven't seen this one in years. This is my second time watching it, and I think I watched it the first time I seen it. I think I liked it better. This time watching, I'm like, it's good, but it could have been a little bit. It could have been better. So yeah, 7.5 for me. 7.5.
Okay, Mr. Manhattan.
I grade mine a little bit harsher than you do. I do not live in the 7 to 10 world.
Okay.
Not to say that that's a bad place to be. Trust me. I just if I'm grading all of these things based on what I think, I would put this at around a 7. Which is for me, like I said, not living in that 7 to 10 world is a very good score for a movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's one of those that, like, maybe if we were still in phase 2, it would be a little bit higher. But with everything we've gone through now, this movie still, like, it sits back a little bit more.
Okay.
But it's a great movie, though.
All right. Chucky.
I with what everyone else said, I agree with pretty much everything that was said, and even in the fact that this movie also introduced where the vibranium came from, that kind of getting our first taste of Wakanda, and it was very important in the storyline of everything going forward. But like you said, Chris, there's just so many movies that still hadn't come out by that point that you were just jaw dropping. I'd give this.
Well, you broke up there. You give it a what?
An 8.
Okay.
Okay.
That's not bad. I mean, that should bring us right around an average of an 8. I think that's respectable.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing that kills me so much is, like, we can talk about these movies as singularities all along, and if that was the case, every single one of these would pretty much be a rock star. But since we have so much time between all of these movies, and we have so many other movies that did come out after that kept pushing the envelope, kept introducing more things, kept you on the seat, on the edge of your seat, kept introducing new thought patterns for you as far as conflicts of internal, external, emotional, and then just all of these different struggles to make you connect to these characters. I feel like that it's hard to not try to pick and choose the favorites and nitpick on certain things to make sure that we're being fair about it, because there is so much to gauge against. Love the fucking MCU. I hate on every goddamn episode. I love the MCU. I could watch this entire stretch again in another 4-day stretch and not care. It's like, whatever, I'll do it. It's no problem at all. Will I sit there and probably watch as definitively as I have in the past on certain ones? Probably not as much, because I've already, been like, all right, well, the Thors aren't really my favorite of them, so I'm not going to pay as much attention to those. But some of these other ones, I'm going to right the fucking sit there all the time. Anybody who's talking around me, like, silence my phone in my own house. You know what I mean? Like, That's how much I give these credit and how much respect I give. Because I'll say it again. These movies are the reference for movie makers nowadays in storytelling and how to progress things and how to actually show and keep things in line and keep things cohesive and coherent throughout, instead of jumbling shit up, mixing shit up, changing shit. DC.
There it is again.
What was that?
Mm-hmm.
Seasonal allergies.
Yeah.
One thing to say about this movie, if we were grading this from a 1 to 10 on the importance of the continual storyline, this would have been a 10. In the importance of what needs to happen and what plays out and the information given in this. And we could, I think that's an interesting conversation of like what and this could be for a different time or whatever, but what movies are the most important in the storyline? Because I remember talking to one of my friends that had not watched the Marvel movies, and it was like the hype of the Infinity War and the Endgame, and they wanted to come with us because it was like a group of us going and everything, and they wanted a quick recap, and I'm like, you can't really have a quick recap, but if we had to pick, I would tell you that you would have to watch Avengers, all the Avengers movies. So at that would have been Avengers Age of Ultron. You would need to see Civil War. You would need to see Guardians of the Galaxy. And you'd be prepared. You'd be pretty much prepared for the Infinity War or the Endgame if you wanted to try to do a quick few movies.
Yeah.
Those are the most important movies in the fact of what was played out in the storyline. So in that sense, I'd give that movie, if we were gauging it on importance in the storyline of the MCU, this was probably the most important.
Interesting take.
Alita for sure, yeah.
God damn. Gentlemen, I think we had a good time tonight.
I had a terrible time. It made me angry, and I had to rant.
Demons.
Exercise those demons. You're right.
Sturdy. I don't know how hot is that iron suit, but I'm sure you got to pee or something soon.
Oh, I do have to pee, but.
And if I promote real quick before I go.
Oh, yeah.
And just guys, just so you guys know, on May 13th from 7 to 9 p.m., we're doing a special 2-hour The Scene Snobs podcast episode where for Friday the 13th, we're going to dissect that franchise, and we're going to have some guests. We're going to have a good time. It's going to be a fun party, so make sure you guys tune in.
Hell yeah.
Sturdy, you want to throw yours? You want me to do like I always do and just fire it off?
I could fire it off real quick. Listen, everybody. It's your boy Sturdy, Horror Source 30 Podcast. Come check us out. Go to horrorsource30.com. You can find me everywhere. I stole that from Mick, and it's smart to start promoting my damn website. So go to horrorsource30.com. All my information's on there, all my contact, all my podcast, everything. Just go right on there. Thank you.
My boy Chuck down below. You can find him here on Midnight Matinee with the Worst Damn Gamer. I will be having him as long as he wants to grace this show here. I love having him on. He's good with this stuff. He's easy to talk to. He knows his shit. He is detail oriented about all of this, so I greatly appreciate you coming up. Greatly.
No problem. Always my pleasure. Anytime. Just let me know.
Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the worst damn gamer ever. You just watched another edition of the Midnight Matinee. Catch me here Saturday nights at midnight. So catch me on Thursdays 30s podcast, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm also on Popcorn and Punch Saturday nights at 9 p.m. I stream gaming throughout the entire week. Come follow my talk. I got a bunch of short clips and edits up for you. Tons of things that's interactive. Come on, have a good time. Let's get my viewership up. Help me get to affiliate. I love you guys. Remember, in order to be the best, sometimes you got to be the worst. That's one right here. Peace.
Deuces.
Yay. That was so much fun. I loved it.